money. That's kind of the purpose of it. This is not meant for the general public. Like, the intent is basically to teach the 2 option strategies that I do and teach you guys how to make money, right? So we're only going to go over one option strategy here today, and the rest I'll go over in a separate video. So the strategy is called a cash secured put, or a CSP. If you see me put CSP when I send out an alert, or if I say, this is what I did, I sold a cash secured put, that is this strategy, okay? In order to sell a cash secured put, you need money, right? Money makes money. Money makes a lot of money in this case, okay? And first, we need to set expectations. The best investor in the world, Warren Buffett, has only made, and I say only in quotations because this is a lot of money, 19% each year throughout his career. So if you are exceeding, the general 10% a year that the stock market returns, you are doing very, very good, okay? If you are making, 12%, 11%, 16%, whatever you're doing is amazing, okay? So you need to go into this with that mindset that, $50 here, $100 there, $200 there. That is a lot of money for the strategy, because we are not looking at, how much did I make in 1 month or in 1 day? We're looking about how much did you make all year, right? What is the actual compounded effect of the money that this strategy generates? So the best way to approach a cash secured put is, one, obviously to have money, right? And then from that point onwards, you select a stock. So how do I select a stock, right? What happens is the way you select a stock when you're going to do the strategy is you look at how much money and cash you have. Let's say that you have, right, $1,000, right? This is the cash you have. If you're going to sell a cash secured put, you divide the amount of money you have by 100, right? 1,000 divided by 100 is $10. Now, why are we doing this? $10 is the maximum stock price that you can sell the cash secured put on. That means that you cannot use this strategy on any stocks that are above $10 in price, okay? So I'll run through this again in case you're retarded and confused. Let's say you have $10,000, right, for the strategy. You divide $10,000 by 100, like I said, right? Cross off the zeros, right? And then 10K divided by 100 is $100. So that means you cannot do this strategy on stocks that are above $100. So as you can see, the more money you have, the more the world is open to you. Because if you have, say, 20K, right, then you can do the strategy on stocks that are, 200 or below, right? But let's say you have 1K, you're limited to $10. So the actual number of stocks that you could pick for your strategy go way down. All right. So let's say, for this example, though, that we have $2,000, okay? $2,000. I'm going to think about a stock that, well, first let's do the math, right? I have $2,000. I'm going to have to divide that by 100, like I said, with the teaching method. So that means I have $20 as my my leftovers. So whatever stock I have to pick has to be $20 or under, right? It could be 20, 19, 18, all the way down to $1. But that stock price per share cannot exceed 20, okay? So I have 2K, and I have to find a stock that's $20 or under. And remember, if you're in the community, I do all this work for you, right? You don't have to find the stocks, I find the stocks. So let's pick a stock. Zeta is the stock that I'm selecting for this. The reason I'm doing that is you can see that stock is $20. And when I say the maximum price is 20, I mean the maximum price that you select. We'll just get into that, okay? If a stock is a little bit above, that number, it's okay. Like, stock, this is 20 because you actually need 100 times what's called the strike price, and we'll explain that, right? But as an estimate, I said that you need, if you have $2,000 divided by 100, the stock can be around the $20 range. Then once you open a stock, right, that's in that range, this is Robinhood, you're going to click here, which is trade options. If you can't do this, you need to go into your settings and turn on options, okay? So when you click trade options, this thing pops up. This is kind of confusing, and I'll explain how this works, okay? So first, like I said, this option is called a CSP, or a cash secured put. You are selling the option, so you'll click sell, and then you'll click put, okay? That is what you're going to be doing. For any stock you run this strategy on, you're going to hit sell and you're going to hit put, okay? Then you can go here and look at the different time frames, okay? So you're selling a contract, you're using the strategy, but you get to pick how many days you want this to work, right? I always usually pick the closest date. That's just my rule of thumb, because I want to have the contract end as soon as possible so I can just do another contract, right? But some people prefer farther out. It kind of just depends. For me, I prefer closer. So look, right now, the stock is $20.75. You can see under where it says strike price here that there's all these different numbers, right? So a strike price is basically the price that you are willing to buy the stock at. So that's why it's important to have done research on the stock, right? I actually like Zeta. I want to buy the stock. I like the stock. And right now the stock is $20.75. I am okay to buy it here, but obviously I would like a little bit of a discount, right? So let's say I would rather buy the stock at $20 per share. So I can pick what's called the $20 strike price. Now you need this amount. One sec. Eraser. You need this strike price amount times 100. And that was where that thing came in where I said, you have a limit. So if you have $2,000, right, you divide 2,000 by 100, that's $20, right? So that means the maximum strike price you can have is $20, okay? So that lets you know what stocks you can do this on. If you try to do this on Amazon, which is $240 per share, the strike price would be like, $240, $235, $220. You can't sell an option on these stocks because if you multiply them by 100, hell, you're going to need like 20K, 22K to be able to do that. Which one of us actually has that type of money right now, So that's why I said it's very important to understand this is a game of hundreds. So if you have $2,000, the maximum you can do is with a strike price of 20, okay? Anyways, so 20 basically, this strike price thing basically means that's what you're agreeing to buy the stock at. If the stock goes below this number, by the end of your contract, which you also get to pick that, right? You're forced to buy 100 shares. So let's erase this real quick and go back to the drawing board. So this is what I call renting your money. You basically put up your money for a certain amount of time and you get paid to do it, right? And this freaking prints. So let's say that you have 2K, right? So you're going to put this 2K up for a certain amount of time, and you're going to get paid money to do it, right? So we selected the contract. I selected that we're going to do this for 7 days. So after 7 days, this contract will be done. We've picked the $20 strike price because I'm okay to buy Zeta at $20, right? Now I have to offer the brokerage, which is basically rent my money for the length of the contract. So I need 20 times 100, right? The strike price times 100. So I will need $2,000, which is right here, and I will rent that for 7 days. So I will give my 2K to this brokerage, 2K to Robinhood, right? They will hold my money for 7 days because that is the length of the contract, right? Nothing happens during these 7 days, right? While the contract is going down, nothing's happening, right? All that matters is what is the price of Zeta, right, at the end of your contract. At the end of your contract, at the end of 7 days, July 10th, when the market closes, the brokerage company automatically checks they check the price of Zeta, right? They're going to see, hey, what is Zeta selling for now, right? And they're going to compare that to your strike price, which we're selecting $20, right? Let me delete all this. I could probably just do that. Yeah, that's faster. Anyways, so we selected $20. So 7 days, right? And we need 100 times the strike, so we need $2,000. So this money is going to be held for 7 days, right? So what do you get out of this deal? You get what's called the premium, right? The big P. The big P is what you get. Okay, you get paid to make this deal, right? So at the end of 7 days, you keep the premium, you keep this payment, and you get your money back, right? What's the downside then? This is basically free money, and we'll get into the only downside on how this works. So basically, if you click here and select the $20 strike price, you'll see that it says 40 cents. But remember, everything's a game of 100s, so everything gets multiplied by 100 because you need $2,000 to do this deal, but you will be paid this price here times 100. So if we click the plus sign, you can see that we will offer up $2,000 and we will be paid right here $40. This is the premium. This is what I'm always raving about. This right here gets paid straight into your account. As long as you offer up 100 times this, so 2K, right? And then we pick the contract, which is going to be 7 days. So your money will be held by Robinhood for 7 days, and you will be paid $40 to make this deal, right? So you get paid up front. Now, at the end of your contract, at the end of these 7 days, if the stock price is below your strike price, so right now Zeta is $20.75. In 7 days, if it is below $20, your $2,000 will get used, right? You don't get this back. You will get 100 shares of Zeta at your strike price, right? Robinhood will automatically use your money in 7 days and give you 100 shares at the strike price. Now, let's talk about two things. One, if the price of Zeta goes below your strike price, right? You're forced to buy at $20. So Zeta could go to 18, Zeta could go to 15, Zeta could go to 0, but you have to buy at 20. That is what you're agreeing to. You're agreeing to be insurance. Whatever happens to the stock, if it drops below your strike price, your entire money is being spent to buy 100 shares at this price, which is why you need to put up 100 shares, right, at this price. You need to put up $2,000 so that if the stock goes below your strike, then Robinhood can take your money and buy the stock at the price you chose, right? So this is a risk, right? What if the stock goes to 15? Then you have to buy at 20 and you're stuck bag holding, right? But you're paid for this deal. You're paid $40. And the thing is, if you have to understand when we're setting this deal up, right now the price of Zeta is $20.75. So if we do have to buy at $20, we are getting a discount. We are buying the stock at cheaper than what it is now. And if you factor in the premium, the payment we're getting, the stock is really, we're really getting 100 shares at $19.55. So even if, let's say, the stock goes to, $20, the stock goes to $19.99, right? And we're forced to use our 2K to buy 100 shares, right? So then you could say, oh, look, we're down. But really, we're not down. You can just sell your shares, right? Because our real break-even price is right here. It's $19.55. So even if we have to buy at $20, right, our real break-even is $19.55. So as long as the price is above your break-even, you're actually profiting, right? So even if Zeta's at $19.99 by the time you have to buy, really, you bought for $19.55. So you're in the money here, right? So the point is that basically you put your money on rent, you're being paid up front, and if the stock drops below the strike price that you agree to buy it at, right, you're forced to buy the shares. Now let's say Zeta stays above this price, because right now Zeta is at $20.75. And this what I'm telling you is only checked at the end of your contract, right? So at the end of your contract, if Zeta is, let's say it's at $20.50, right? Let's say Zeta goes down from the current price. You get all your money back. You get the 2K, right, straight back to your account, and you obviously keep the premium. No matter what happens, you keep the premium, right? But the 2K just goes back to your account. So as long as the price of the stock is above your strike price at the end of the contract, this is a free money glitch. You just rent your money, and then you get the premium up front, and then after the contract's over, you just get all your money back. Boom, right? But you could say, oh, what if you have to buy the shares? Isn't that scary? Because if Zeta drops under $20, then you could be big sad, and your 2K would, right, it would just turn into 100 shares of Zeta. And then wouldn't that suck? Isn't that scary, right? Now your money is gone. Now you have 100 shares of Zeta instead. Let's go see what happens, right? Because this actually happened to me. Let's see what happened to me. So when I click back on Zeta, you can see right here, I own 208 shares of Zeta. I own that because I did the cash secured put, right? I did this 2 times. I sold 2 contracts, right? And so I was forced to buy 100 shares, but like twice, right? So this happened to me 2 times. So you can see I have 200 plus shares. My average cost here is $18.95. But look, I'm actually up. I got forced to buy the shares at this price, but I've actually made money. By getting forced to buy the shares, I'm up almost $400, right? And that's the thing. If you use a strategy on stocks you actually want to buy, one, you're getting a discount. So even if you get forced to buy the stock, it's probably going to go up. And I do all the research, right? So I know which companies are going to go up. A company like Zeta is going to go up because of how good the company is, how high quality it is, everything. So even if you're forced to buy the stock, let's say at 18 or at 20 or at 21, right, it's going to go up. So you could just sell out for a profit. So that's what I do. If I'm forced to buy the stock, I hold it, and then it goes up, and then I sell for a profit. Boom, I win. Or, I get paid the premium, and then I get all my money back, which is also a big win, right? So next we're going to go into how to know what premium is worth it, right? So we're going to go back to the $20 cash secure put, and I will teach you what these numbers mean, right? We have to go sell put. Make sure you're on sell and put, otherwise you're going to get cooked. So we selected our contract, 7 days. After 7 days, either I get my money back or I have to buy 100 shares at $20 because I'm picking that strike price, right? And you always want to go under where it's under the share price, because let's say I select $21, right? That means in 7 days, if Zeta is below $21, right, I have to buy 100 shares at $21. So that means I actually need Zeta to go up for me to get my money back, because right now Zeta is $20.75. So if Zeta stays at the current price, then I will actually just be forced to buy, which is why you can see the premium is much higher, because there's a 61% chance, that, according to Robinhood, that you're going to be forced to buy the shares. At the end of the day, in general, you want to not buy the shares so you can keep recycling the strategy, right? So now we're just going to get into numbers. As I said, you want to pick a strike that's under the current share price. I usually don't pick the one right under. I go to one under that, right here, right? $20. That gives me more of a buffer. So next, I'll explain what these things mean. So volume basically means the amount of contracts that are out. You want there to be good volume, because that basically shows you how many people are picking the $20 strike. There's like 223 contracts at this level, right? I think that's pretty good. And so that kind of lets me know that this is a decent spot to be at. It doesn't really matter that much, but I do look at it. Next, you want to look at what's called the delta. The delta is basically the percentage chance that, you're going to have to buy the stock, right? I can pick higher deltas. So this is 33%. So according to the brokerage, they think that there's a 33% chance that I have to buy the stock, right? In 7 days, the price of Zeta will be below $20 and I will have to spend my money and buy the stock, right? But the thing is, if you already want to buy the stock and it's already a good company, you can pick a higher delta, right? I'm okay for it to be a 33% chance, because if I have to buy the stock, I know it's going up anyways, right? It's not a big deal to me, right? But most option traders try to pick like a delta between, 15% and 20%, because they don't want to have to buy the stock. But because I do all that research, I don't care if I have to buy the stock, okay? Next, we're going to get into what's called the mark, and that's right here. What is the mark? The mark is basically the middle point. So as stocks go up and as stocks go down, the premium is going to be different. If a stock is going down really hard, people are scared. They think that it has a way higher chance of continuing to go down, right? Because if the stock, let's say, it falls from $21 to, let's say, $19, people think there's a way higher chance that it'll keep going down and then fall to $17, right? Because people think if a stock's going down, it'll keep going down, the premiums are way higher. So I only use this strategy on stocks that are like going down hard, because I want to collect the maximum amount of premium, right? Because it's guaranteed money. So if a stock goes up, you will be paid less premium, because the same thing applies. People think if a stock is going up, it has a higher chance of continuing to go up. So you're betting that a stock, will, stay above this price. So if a stock is already going up, you are accepting less risk. If Zeta goes from 20, right, to 21, and now it's on its way up to 22, there's a way lower chance of it coming down to 20, according to the market, right? So you will be paid less money because you're taking on less risk, okay? So I like taking on what is considered to be higher risk, but in my eyes, low risk. Right now I think Zeta is worth $30 per share, right? So for me, let's say Zeta is crashing right now, right? I look at the $20 strike price. I think, oh wow, the premium, let's say the premium for this is, $80, right? I can think to myself, wow, that's an $80 premium I'm getting to buy in at 20. So even though people are scared because the stock is crashing, I think it's worth $30. So if I'm forced to buy the stock at $20, that's okay, because I'm already getting a big time deal. Plus I'm getting paid, right? So I can accept higher deltas and a higher risk of having to buy the stock, right? Because I'm okay buying it at the discount, because I know how much Zeta is actually worth, and then I get higher premiums. So like I said, I never buy when the stock is going up, and I always buy when the stock is crashing or going down, because it's more premiums, right? And that's the money you get paid up front. So next, we're going to look at the high. This is the highest amount, and remember, everything is multiplied by 100. So this 0.45 means the average is someone was paid $45 as premium. The high means the highest amount someone got was $60, and the last trade means the last person that did this got $40, right? Usually, I try to put the last trade amount, because the last trade is basically kind of what the last person got, and so you're able to, that's more accurate, because every time that you sell a cash secure put, there's someone on the other end that's buying this from you, right? They're the loser. They're the gambler buying the call option. So the thing is that because stocks go up and stocks go down, the premium that's being offered right now is going to keep changing. So you just want to get the premium that the last person got, right? So let's see how that works. So let's reset everything, right? Just so you can kind of understand what's going on. Back to the start. So I have $2,000. I'm looking up a stock, right? Let's go to Zeta. Now that I have $2,000, I can go to trade Zeta options. Then I can see Zeta is $20.75. So first I'm going to hit sell, then I'm going to hit put. Then I'm going to look at the contract dates and see, hey, how long do I want to put my money on rent for, right? I always pick the closest, which is going to be 7 days. So I pick 7 days. Next, I look here and I look at the price of Zeta, which is $20.75, and I don't pick the closest one. I usually go down. So that's going to be the $20 strike price, right? So I know that I need 20, but times 100. So I need $2,000 to be able to do this, right? And that's what I'll offer for my 7 days. Then I can see that the last person got 40 cents times 100. So the last person got $40 to make this deal. So I will, after that, right, I need to figure out, how much am I getting paid to make this deal, right? I'm putting my 2K on rent for 7 days. I'm getting $40, but is that even worth it, right? So the easiest way to do this is you look at the strike price, and this is 1%. Okay, don't ask me how this works, but basically $20 is 1%. So if I'm getting paid $40, I'm getting paid 2%. So basically, in 7 days, I'm making a guaranteed 2%. Remember, Warren Buffett made 19% across his whole career. So for you, each year. So for you to get 2% in 7 days is fucking crazy, okay? So don't think this $40 is nothing. You're also only putting up $2,000, right? So for you to make an immediate 2% return for only 7 days is huge. Like if you do this every single time, it's going to be crazy. And I'll show this to you right now, right? Let's look at this. If I make a 2% return on 2K every week, how much is that compounded over a year? Let's see what you can get to, right? You can turn your 2K into 5.6K. You can almost triple your money in a year just off of this, right? So that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, don't think that, oh, 2% or $40 isn't a lot. You have to remember, you're also only putting up 2K. Like, if you put up more money, you're gonna make more money, right? And this is gonna compound and grow your account like fucking crazy. Anyways, last person got $40. I want to get what the last person got. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna click here, and then how many contracts? That basically means how many times can we do this? Let's say I had 4K. I could do this 2 times, right? And you can see the premium doubles because I'll put up 4,000 and I'll make this deal twice and I'll get $80. If you don't get that, you're retarded. Anyways, but for this example, we have $2,000, which remember, we're using 2K because it's 100 times the strike price. If this was the strike price, we would need 100 times 20.5, right? But we're using $20 because that's the price we would be willing to buy Zeta at the end of our contract. So I put up my 2K, right? And then we'll go back here. So 1 contract. Then you just put what the last person got. You stick that right here, right? 0.40. The last person got $40. We'll take $40 too. And you make sure that this is a good deal. We already did the math because $20 is 1%. So if you're getting $40, you're getting 2%. 2% in 7 days is perfectly fine. Normal option sellers look for 1% per week. So your minimum is $20. If you're not at least getting $20 for this deal, you should not be making this deal, right? Then boom, you just hit review order. You can see, wait, why do I have $2,000 available? That's weird. Okay, I could make this deal, I guess, right now. Somehow I have $2,000. Anyways, if I did this, if I click this, this would like show up and it would be waiting to get filled. We're basically waiting for someone else to buy this from us. And usually, if you pick the last trade, if you ask for what the last person got, you have a high chance of getting filled. Pause. Okay, and that's perfectly fine. You just want to get filled. Pause, so that your contract gets sold, right? If let's say if we ask for 0.60, right? We ask for $60. This is not going to get filled, right? Nobody's going to agree to pay us $60. The last person got $40, right? You have to be reasonable here, okay? But sometimes if a stock's really volatile and it's going up a lot, and it's going down a lot, and the volume's low, so not that many people have actually done this, there's a chance that this last trade could be outdated. Maybe the last time this trade happened was like a long time ago, right? So what you can do is you could be greedier. You could, let's say that this, like, let's say Zeta starts crashing out of nowhere, right? Boom, we're down 5% in a day, right? And you see the last guy got $40. You could test the waters and you could say, hey, give me $60 and see what happens. But usually I don't do that because, usually the last person got the price that people are willing to pay. But you could still test it. You could always cancel it, etc. But like I said, you want to do the last trade, which is going to be $40, right? 0.40 because everything's multiplied by 100. So 40 cents times 100 is $40. You get review order. So in 7 days, you will either get all your money back or you'll have to buy 100 shares of Zeta at the price you chose, right? Which is still a discount from the current price. That is cash secured puts, and that is how that is explained. Now let's go back to the Discord for a second and just take a look at that, right? Let's go right here to Roth Moves. Now let's look at something that I did right here. Let's look at this. This is a put on SLS. So SLS was $13.28. I picked $13 because I was 100% certain this stock was going up. You can see that this is 1 day. My contract is 1 day long. So I need to put up 13 times 100. So I need $1,300 to make this deal. I'm doing this deal 2 times. What does that mean? I need 1,300, right? But I'm doing this deal 2 times. So I really need $2,600. Hopefully that makes sense because I'm selling 2 contracts. I'm doing this 2 times, right? So I put up my $2,600 and you can see for how long? For 1 day. They are willing to pay me $45, okay? But remember, I'm doing this 2 times, so I get this twice. So I put up $2,600 and they paid me $90 fucking for 1 day. This is a 7% return, by the way. So I basically made 7% in 2 days off the premium, or 1 day, or whatever, right? That's crazy because if a stock is volatile, it's going up, it's going down, and you know it's going to go up, you can make crazy returns. How else are you making 7% in 2 days without gambling? Because this isn't gambling. If SLS is below 13 by the time my contract ends, I'm okay to buy the stock. I've done my research. This is a good deal, okay? So there's no losing. You only win. All I do is win, or whatever DJ Khaled said. So this is basically the strategy. That's kind of what I wanted to get into. So you can actually follow along and see what I'm doing when I say, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, right? Let's go up here and read another one that I did. So look, cash secured put sold on TSSI. I put up $1,000 for 23 days. I was paid $35. This is a premium, a 3.5% return in 23 days. That's very good. Remember, Warren Buffett did 19% a year. You can see that right here, right? Let's look at this. So I put up $1,000. Everything is times 100. So they paid me 35 cents per share, but it's 100 shares. I basically received $35 to do this deal, right? And you can see that my money will return to me on the 17th of July. So this one was longer days. This was 23 days out, but it's okay. I'm okay to get a 3.5% return. Because remember, the lower strike price you pick, the lower premium you're going to get. I actually do need to emphasize this before we end off. So you could say, okay, why don't we just pick like $18? Let's say that Zeta is $21 right now. And you could say, oh, I don't want to buy it for $21. I want a fatty discount. I want $18. Now let me explain to you why that's fucking retarded. Because if you click $18, oh, I'm fucking retarded. Hold on. If you click $18, you'll see the last guy got $7 for this shit. So you're going to put up, remember, 100 times this. So you need 18 times 100. You need to put up 1,800 buckaroos, and they're going to pay you $7 fucking dollars. Remember, 18 is 1%. This number is 1%. 7 is like 0.3%. That's like booty. So I'm basically being paid 0.3% for 7 days. That's ass. So as you can see, there's almost zero chance of Zeta getting to 18, which is why you're making no premium. Because if you get the stock at $18, right, there's almost as, like you can see right here, that there's an 87% chance that this doesn't happen and you just keep the premium and you get all your money back, right? So you're not going to get any premium because you're really taking no risk, right? So that's why you have to balance, like, a reasonable strike. You want to be closer to the share price, like up here, right? That's okay. So you can get higher premiums because I'm okay if I get forced to buy the stock. I know it's going up, so I can just sell it for profit and be happy. Okay, any questions you can ask me. That's this, unedited, super simple.